Welcome to the show, Carol Albert. You are a versatile classical pianist, vocalist, and composer based in Atlanta. Having gained your Bachelor of Music from Georgia State University, you've toured internationally a number of times and have received Emmy nominations for your acclaimed work composing for television. You've also released albums and singles, your debut album Love in Your Eyes way back in 1992. There's a ton of stuff to talk about with you, Carol. Thank you so much for joining us on the show here. Please do tell us more.
Oh, thank you for having me. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm working on my 11th studio album right now. You can see in the background, I was up late last night working on one of my tunes and getting excited to release it, within the first quarter of 2025. So that'll be coming out. I look forward to releasing that. Just had a very nice year for 2024 with a couple of my tunes, Sunshine Yellow featuring Peter White. That ended up being Song of the Year for Smooth Jazz Network and the top 2 on Mediabase and on Billboard for the Song of the Year. So I was pretty excited as a songwriter about that happening because it was a validation. It wasn't based on votes. It was based on, I feel like I earned it. And, those things are important to me. So,
yeah, definitely.
Listen, do you write lyrical content?
I do. I write lyrics as well. I have vocal songs. I've concentrated on instrumentals because the genre that I'm in, more of the jazz, smooth jazz, contemporary jazz, is very instrumental based principally, and there are some vocals, but so I've mainly focused on instrumentals, but for everything that I write, I always hear a lyric in my head.
Okay.
So I write lyrics a lot there, just end up in a book usually.
Right. Now, what do you think about social conscious music?
I mean, I think however we can get the message out, any outlet is an opportunity to, spread more of an outreach of what we have to say or what our issues or social. There's so many different platforms for social media these days, but I was talking to a friend of mine who actually was on the ground floor when Andre 3000 decided to do his meditation album and start with the flute. He basically started with the flute as a beginner, even though he's a rap artist. And a lot of people are really, flapping their jaws about that. But, like my take is he is expanding, he's opening up an entire new audience that have never been exposed to meditation music, to his music, to a different style, to a different concept and a different wavelength. And so anytime that you have that opportunity, it's a good thing.
Yeah. What kind of subject would you talk about if you had a chance to?
My platform would be, because it's close and dear to my heart, with many friends and relatives, would be addiction, mental health. There's so much. And, in the United States, we have such a plague of fentanyl and just, premature deaths, just so unnecessary. It's a very close and dear to my heart subject. So that could be my next project.
Okay. And so there's all kind of issues to talk about, but then there's also a lot of positive issues as well.
Yeah. Oh, there are many positive issues. We're entering an age more than ever that people are looking at themselves and they're expanding their consciousness. They're looking for ways to grow and to, to help their own lives and other people. I think more so than ever, even though it's kind of a negative time, there's more than ever more positive people that are opening up to new consciousness.
Now, who would have been some of your social conscious music artists that you enjoy?
Well, I mean, I go back to the beginning of the social consciousness, some of the 60s and 70s music, that was a great period for music to really talk about Marvin Gaye, what's going on, and, Jimi Hendrix and so many, that was like when I was just coming up. So, a lot of that music really was very, very, Bob Dylan, very social conscious, had a message.
Yeah. Tom?
Yeah. You mentioned slightly earlier about mixing musical styles. I wondered if you'd considered in your sort of classical the vein any kind of mix with something like rap. And we've had previously we've had on the show somebody that did opera and would be as an opera singer would was considering sort of teaming up with rap artists for kind of that kind of mix of genres. Is that something you'd consider doing?
Oh yeah. In fact, I was just looking at a video of an artist that is an opera singer. I don't know her personally, but recording dance electronic, did an album with opera to electronic music, and yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be done to any style.
Yeah.
It's mixing so many different elements. I think it'd be cool.
I think that's what it will also bring all different audiences together, because perhaps if you only listen to rap, you wouldn't necessarily be exposed to kind of classical pianism and vice versa. So I think it's definitely worth even just to see what kind of collaboration that will bring about for the audiences. I think it would open up a lot of avenues. I think, yeah.
Well, anytime you collaborate with someone, you're going to bring their audience with your audience, and it's going to expand. And then you're going to open up to more people that come in, for that. So collaboration is a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. Skyler, you can testament to that. You've collaborated with some artists of all kinds of types of genres, haven't you, in the past?
All kinds, because it's the same 12 notes. It's whatever way you want to go, just different genres. And I love it all. Lately, I've been really falling in love with classical. Now, you being in Atlanta.
Well, there's so many artists that live in Atlanta, just kind of, hanging out. They just live in a quiet life and work. I mean, I keep hearing every day of more artists. I mean, really big names that live in Atlanta. Somebody new every day that I'll, it's like, wow, they live in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta, is an international city these days, and they're, shooting movies, and they're shooting a lot of film, and it's, you never know who's going to turn up here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Tyler Perry's studio over there, right?
Oh yeah, Tyler Perry's big.
Huge over there.
Big studio.
Wow. So tell me, on lyrical content, how do you come up with ideas?
Well, I mean, usually I'll have an idea in my mind of what I want the song to be about, or it would just come to me. It's like, I want to write about that. And if something like particular prompts that thought, when I was touring in Europe, one of the times I was in Frankfurt, Germany, and I was sitting on a step of some building, and I noticed this girl who was just kind of slumped over on the steps, very young girl, obviously, on drugs and, just sleeping in the middle of the day. And it really kind of broke my heart. And so I wrote this song, Sasha, about that. And so something usually will prompt a song that I will write the lyrics about. If I'm feeling happy about a particular thing, I'll write it about that. Or I wrote a song, Lady with Gray Hair, because I was in Sweden. I was walking down a street, and, I looked over and saw this lady with gray hair back in her garden. It prompted this whole song. So, different things.
What's it about?
Well, Lady with Gray Hair is a song. She's walking down the street. She looks over into the garden, and there's this lady, and the lady says, "Come on over, let's talk." And so the girl goes back there and talks, and, the lady says, "Hey, I used to travel like you did, and, I used to do all these things, and it was great, but I let the one true love in my life go, and I regret it. So, you need to change it up, change your life, let somebody, change, and you can let love in your life, basically." So that's what it was about.
With regards to the sort of composition of things and where you come up with your ideas, would you say generally that you come up with lyrics or a song idea first and then add the music to it? Or sometimes would it be the other way, where you think of a melody and then you think, okay, there was some words for this, and you can build the song around the melody? Which way is this kind of usually that you would come up with the kind of lyrics first?
A lot of times it's simultaneous for me. I mean, if I think of the words, then I'll have the melody in my mind, and it'd be a simultaneous thing. I'm not the kind of writer that can force things. I've never been kind of a round table writer. where they really sit in there in the room and they're like, okay, we're going to write a song for this,
Yeah.
it's going to be about this. Everybody, give it your best shot, throw it all into the middle of the table. And when we leave here, we're going to have a song.
Yeah.
It's a skill. I mean, you can build on it just like anything else, but mine is probably more just kind of out there, a little bit more inspirational,
Yeah.
inspired by something.
I love it. What would you say to a young person that aspires to play music?
Yeah, your perception of the music business is not what you think it is. And it's you're going to have to work hard, do what you say you're going to do, keep your nose clean, be responsible, and treat it like a job.
Keep your nose clean.
Nose clean, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Wow. Now, I'll never forget, I've been playing professionally since I was 13 years old, and but I'll never forget, I got about 17 and my uncle goes, you're getting serious about this music, I mean, yeah, but I just want to let you know, it's chicken today and feathers tomorrow.
Well, I was discouraged, by my father. And in fact, he basically, said that my classical music degree would, be worthless, which, I mean, I guess in all the big picture to some people it is, but, you have to believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, and to be a full-time musician, you have to be open to doing different things. I mean, you might have to teach some students, you might have to do this, you might have to do something for the music store down the street, a video, of their instrument, and then you can go do your gig at night, and then all of it together, you can make enough to kind of launch, your recordings and so I think you have to, accept that it's just not going to be overnight. Now, some people, that can happen too. It's very, very, very rare.
Yeah. It's a very lucky thing,
Mm-hmm.
Who inspired you?
Well, my grandmother first inspired me. I learned how to play the piano with my grandmother. She loved to play the piano. She didn't know how to read music. She played by ear, and she did a lot of honky tonk, growing up in the South, and, the kind of music, country and gospel and bluegrass, and she liked to do honky tonk music. And so she got cancer, and at that time they amputated her right arm, and she couldn't play anymore. So she did manage to live, some more years. And then when I was coming up, she taught me how to play the right hand parts while she played the left hand parts.
Yeah.
And when she passed, I started taking piano lessons and just continued, kind of always felt her spirit inside me.
Yeah. You play by ear?
I do. I play by ear and play by music. I first learned to play by ear, then, started reading music, and then started studying classical music.
Yeah.
But I played gospel music growing up in the church. So, I mean, I really was exposed to a lot of different styles of music. And, by all logistics, I should have been a country music, but, here I am.
Yeah.
Contemporary jazz. Go figure.
Tom?
I see you're working on, obviously, your album there in the background. Have you got any plans to do any touring at all, or would there be kind of a tour linked to the album?
Got some people working on that. It's, it's been slow putting dates together. A lot of people kind of waiting to see, what 2025 starts out. And, but would love to travel. I did some traveling in Europe. Would love to come back to England and London, and got a lot of fans in Australia, and would love to go there and play. So, I've got things in the fire, working on it.
Excellent. Yeah.
So what's up next for you?
Well, just continuing what I'm doing, trying to, live life, work on my music. And, I'm very, very lucky that I have the time I have to work on my music, continue being a professional musician, songwriter, what I'm doing.
I just want to talk about social media and whether or not you've got any kind of social media presence. And if you do, just kind of what sort of social media you've got, any websites and stuff that people can go and check out what you're up to, and how to get hold of you.
My website's carolalbertmusic.com, and my social media is pretty much all under Carol Albert. or Carol Albert Music. My Instagram is Carol Albert Music. My Twitter or X, Carol Albert Music. About everything is under that.
Good stuff. What we'll do, I'll take the links for those and pop them in the
Okay.
description of the video so people can go off and check that out for you.
All right, cool.
Carol, bless you for the privilege of your time today.
Well, I'm glad we finally were able to get our time together, and I appreciate your having me on your podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure.
You know, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
All right, thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Carol.
Namaste.
Take care.
Namaste.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all get together, music can save the world. Yeah. Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all come together, music can save the world. There's an urgency facing our humanity.
Thank you so much for watching. To stay up to date, please click subscribe and hit the bell. You can also join our group on Facebook and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram.